The powers at be know very well that too many people are awakened. Too many people know they are being controlled and manipulated by the government, that our world as we see it might as well be an illusion because they control everything. The government's response to this is various disinformation campaigns, essentially damage control, which will include some truth. You might also consider this propaganda, but the point of these disinfo documentaries and massive amounts of social media posts is to distract you. It's controlled opposition. Get people to think you're anti-establishment. If the government is doing the actual protests themselves, they can control what happens. There's too much of this disinfo PSYOP BS going around with what's happening in the world right now. Disinformation is false or misleading information spread deliberately to deceive people, kind of like propaganda, as we said. Psychological operations are operations to convey select information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions, motives, and objective reasoning. Ultimately, the behavior of this group of awakened people. The point is, they're placing information to manipulate and control you in whatever way they see desirable. And they might even tell you some of the truth, but it will never compel you to do anything because they won't give you the whole picture. The documentary Out of Shadows is the most obvious CIA disinformation campaign I have ever seen, at least in my lifetime. It got millions of views on YouTube, I think over 10 million before it was taken down. Yeah, how come when I make a video, it's like censored at 500 views? Can you make it any more painfully obvious that this is all staged nonsense? Oh, this person with 1 million subscribers or this person with 10 million views got taken down. They must be legit. Laugh out loud.
Why do you believe what you believe? Because at some point in your life, you trusted the information that somebody was giving you. And that someone you trusted told you that a car was a car, a tree was a tree, a bird was a bird, the blue stuff above you is the sky. And that's the way that we began to determine what we believe to be a fact. Most of the things that we believe to be a fact in our lives are told to us through our stories or the news that we hear.
This film starts off with the narrator attempting to build trust by saying that the facts we haven't been told are true. Everything you've been told your whole life is a lie. This guy is a very successful Hollywood stuntman, so he's in the club. He's very high up. You know, 2 big bullshit points already. You know, how many views they let this get on YouTube, and the guy is part of what he is claiming to be against. You don't get high up and successful in Hollywood in any capacity without being a part of the evil things they're doing. This guy is literally a part of Hollywood working for the CIA. People should have stopped watching the documentary at this point after the first 2 minutes.
Our government's always controlled our content.
The fight for freedom.
We've just never paid attention.
Yeah, just like this documentary, this is a complete joke.
Now we have to ask ourselves, who's influencing our content?
Is the CIA involved in Hollywood?
Yes.
Guys, how ironic is this? You can't make this up. They bring up the CIA. This documentary was made by the CIA. How ironic is that?
I did the first take fine, the second take, I knew I could do it better. I went up and I fell over the rail and I landed on the pipe down below and I burst fractured my L2 vertebrae and I was paralyzed from the waist down.
So the narrator ends up getting a lower back injury doing some stunt work, and he has to go see a pelvic floor therapist.
And she looked at me and she said, Michael, I am one of the only pelvic floor therapists in Southern California at the time. And when these satanic people and these evil people do their rituals to little girls and women and boys, who do you think puts them back together? I do. It's completely real and you need to look into it.
This is ridiculous. You morons at the CIA couldn't come up with something better. You guys should have hired me. This story is, oh my god. Imaginary stuntman, imaginary therapist who suddenly reveals that she puts together little kids that were abused by elite people. Is that just something you tell your client? Really? Really? This is such low IQ garbage. As if anyone working for these people wouldn't have committed suicide with 2 gunshots to the back of the head as soon as they said something. These people literally swear a blood oath not to tell the truth. They die if they tell the truth. And these people are in the club, and they're lying to you.
My awakening, it didn't happen at church the way that some people find God.
Oh, here we go. It's about finding God. Religion, another form of control.
I still wasn't sure if it wasn't 100% crazy or not, but I was reading these articles and looking at these things, and I was like, you know, I've seen things at parties, I've seen artwork, I've seen statues, I've seen things in some people's houses that just seem to be mimicking occult stuff I'm reading about.
Let me get this straight. You just happen to be reading about occult stuff? It just came up in your Google browser?
I found God because I realized that the Luciferian and the other side, the occult world, was real, and that I had been fooled for all these years, and I then got really scared.
Listen, buddy, stick to stunt work because you're a horrible actor. In regards to relative intelligence, this doesn't make any sense. He's a high-level Hollywood stuntman, a very articulate and intelligent person, and he becomes someone who finds religion. This is so poorly done. It's like you could almost tell this guy doesn't even want to say what he's saying. It's like he's not even trying.
So at first, I got off of social media and I made an anonymous account. I started reading blogs, looking at articles, I started reading books, I started watching videos online. I just started searching for the truth, and I was finding accounts that were searching for the truth themselves. They weren't mainstream accounts. These were accounts online that I felt like were like me. They were just looking for what the truth was.
Made an anonymous account and started searching for the truth? What do you mean? What website do you need an account for? Where did you search for the truth? Never specifics, because the people will figure out you're lying. Is this some boomer brainwashing shit? Yeah, I have a secret account online, bro, and I found other secret accounts searching for the truth. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. There's no better word. It's absolutely, oh my god. Did anyone actually believe this documentary? Seriously. Let me know in the comments below if you're like, seriously.
So I was like, I don't really know anybody that can answer these questions. And I reached out to this guy who I'd been watching online. His name was Kevin Shipp. And for those of you who don't know who Kevin Shipp is, he's a CIA whistleblower. He worked in counterintelligence, and he served in many capacities in his tenure at the CIA.
A CIA whistleblower, yet he was on Fox News? Give me a break. This is getting better and better. This is so funny. Oh my god. This guy is clearly working for the CIA. And if you got tricked by this documentary, you need a lobotomy. So then they went on to explain that the CIA is influencing and manipulating the media, but they're basically preaching to the choir if they have their intended audience. And this is 20 minutes into the film. All they've said is that the CIA is involved in Hollywood. They've never actually said what they're doing, what the goal of that media and propaganda is. And with the quality of this exposure documentary, the transitions and the footage, I would bet Hollywood made this documentary themselves. Then to continue to build your trust and be like, oh yeah, this is a big, super high quality film and we're admitting this stuff is true, they bring up conspiracy theories. Mockingbird, Paperclip, MK Ultra, as if it's new information. Oh yeah, these things that you guys thought were true for 40 years, yeah, we're coming forward and saying, yeah, you were right, they're true.
And when you turn on that television, what do you get? What's the first thing that pops up? A list of channels. And when you turn on those channels, what's on those channels? Programming. They are programming you. They've been programming your whole life. You don't even know it. They do it with your music. They do it with your TV. They do it with your movies. They do it with your games. They have been programming us and programming you since you were little, and you don't even know it because you don't even question it.
Yeah, And you're programming us with this documentary right now.
This has always been about controlling what we as the population think and hear. They help create our culture and influence our society. We as citizens only trust them because as a society, we think that the gatekeepers have our best interest in mind.
So the consistent message in this documentary is that these companies are controlling the planet, but that is absolutely not true. You know, he is diverting the people's attention to a false evil. Yes, these companies in some capacity do control us, but it's who's behind those companies that's actually controlling us.
Michael Aquino was a high-level officer in the National Security Agency. He was and is, you'll see him today, a practicing Satanist. He created the Satanic Temple of Set, which he still runs. He was a high-level NSA officer. He's a member of the association I used to be in.
Now, this is hysterical. So they bring up a scapegoat that is allegedly a Satanist, like comically obvious actor. Are they trying to imply that Satanists look like nutjobs that twist their eyebrows up? You know, the people narrating this documentary are probably the ones abusing the children. They're diverting your attention.
They're running blackmail operations where they're getting very well-known government and private industry elite people in compromising positions at the Playboy Mansion, on Epstein's plane, on Orgy Island, and they're photographing them. And after that, it's like Congressman so-and-so or CEO so-and-so. I wouldn't bring that up if I was you, because we got photographs of you with a 14-year-old girl on Epstein's plane, for example.
They did bring up the blackmailing of these elite people, but that doesn't really make any sense, as in order to become part of the elite in the first place, you have to give them blackmail. This isn't about blackmail. This is just their enjoyment. This is what they do. They do this on a regular basis.
It's pretty simple if you think about it. To control the population, you have to control the people messaging the population. Some of these stars have 20, 30 million followers. That's more followers than CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC. These people have to be controlled. They can't just go off a message and start saying whatever they want to say. They have to be somewhat reined in. They have to be controlled, or they do not get the platform to have the voice that they have.
Yup, just like you were given the platform for this bullshit documentary because you're working on the same side as those celebrities. So they transition from the point that these big stars and celebrities are controlled by the CIA to the Ricky Gervais speech about the celebs abusing children, which ties into the elites and those in control of this world abusing children. The narrator then turns to a journalist who is covering Pizzagate, and you guys can look that up if you want. You know, the point of this documentary is bringing up conspiracies that are very well known, that people already know the truth about, but they're pretending they are bringing you that truth from a more legitimate source. This whole thing seems like a scapegoat. The documentary goes from we're being controlled by a bunch of satanic evil people to explaining that these people are abusing children, and literally an hour into the documentary and they haven't talked about anything significant. You know, the globalism, the new world, why certain things are happening. So these clowns bring up a bunch of conspiracy theories, blame the celebrities for being Satan worshippers, yet the people involved in this documentary, the narrators, the writers, everyone who made it is in the same club, and they're just trying to grab those awakened people and get them to focus on this. So overall, there were a few truths in this documentary, but they weren't even close to telling the whole truth, and certainly attempted to divert people to following Christianity as a solution, as opposed to taking all of these people out of power.
If we can get people to analyze what they're watching, we've crossed a huge hurdle, because once they start analyzing it, they're going to see the dots, and typically the dots will connect themselves.
The same can be said about this bullshit documentary. All I see is a bunch of nonsense. You think I really care that a bunch of famous celebrities are diddling some kids when they're literally blasting kids in the streets of New York City with radiation and killing them? It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what to say. So that's it for today, guys. I felt like covering this because there's a lot of social media accounts going around and sharing disinfo. They say, oh, watch this video, watch this video, watch this video. What do you think of this video? I think it's dog shit and it's controlled opposition. That's what I think. So if you guys want to support me, please just share the video. You can subscribe so that you can be unsubscribed next week. If you want to drop a like and leave a comment down below, I'd appreciate it, guys. And you can support me through my companies down below: Frankie's Free Range Meat, most affordable, high-quality animal foods online; Frankie's Naturals, if you want to look like a Roman statue. You can go to organsupplements.com for the various supplements I use on a daily basis, and frank-stefano.com if you are interested in health, fitness, diet consultations. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I'll see you for tomorrow's video.